Melbourne has a reputation as one of the world's most livable cities. Cafes, laneways, culture, safety. But right now, that reputation is under serious strain. A wave of firebombings and ram raids is hitting the city. Businesses are being torched. An inner-city shopping strip was ram raided. And this week, Melbourne's Lord Mayor did not mince words describing the wave of attacks as a cancer, eating away at the city. Today, we're breaking down what's actually happening in Melbourne, what's driving these attacks, and what authorities are doing about it. Because behind the dramatic headlines is a genuinely complex story about organized crime, the tobacco trade, and youth crime. Let's start with what's been happening on the ground, because the scale is significant. Over recent months, Melbourne has experienced a sustained series of arson attacks. Businesses set alight, often in the early hours of the morning. Many of these attacks have targeted tobacco and vape shops. Alongside the firebombings, there have been ram raids, where vehicles are driven into storefronts to smash them open, either to steal goods or as acts of intimidation. This week, an inner-city retail strip was ram raided, adding to a growing sense of unease. The Lord Mayor of Melbourne responded by labeling the wave of attacks a cancer language that captures both the seriousness of the situation and the fear that it's spreading. For Melbourne residents and business owners, this is genuinely frightening. When shops are being firebombed and cars are being driven through storefronts, it doesn't just cause physical damage. It creates a climate of fear that affects entire neighborhoods. People become afraid to open businesses, afraid to walk certain streets at night, afraid that their suburb is becoming unsafe. So what's actually driving this? The answer is more specific than random crime, and it centers on what's become known as the tobacco wars. Australia has some of the highest tobacco taxes in the world. A single packet of legal cigarettes can cost around $40 to $50, the majority of which is government excise. This has created an enormous black market for illegal tobacco and vapes, products smuggled into the country or sold without paying the excise at a fraction of the legal price. That black market is extraordinarily lucrative, and where there's a lucrative illegal market, organized crime follows. Criminal syndicates have been fighting literally for control of the illegal tobacco and vape trade in Melbourne. The firebombings are, in large part, a product of this turf war. Rival groups torch each other's shops. They intimidate retailers into selling their products rather than a competitor's. They punish those who don't pay protection money or who step out of line. Victoria Police have linked a significant portion of the arson attacks directly to this illegal tobacco trade and the organized crime networks controlling it. What looks like random violence is often a coordinated campaign of intimidation and control over a black market worth hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a second element layered on top of the organized crime story, and that's youth crime. Some of the ram raids and other offenses are being carried out by young people, sometimes recruited by the criminal networks to do the dangerous frontline work. Australia has been having an intense national debate about youth crime, and Victoria is at the center of it. The youth crime crackdown has entered a new phase. Repeat offenders who breach bail now face mandatory jail time under a brand new offense. The idea is to stop a small number of repeat offenders who commit a disproportionate share of crimes from being released back onto the streets to re-offend while awaiting trial. This is genuinely controversial. Supporters argue that when a small group of repeat offenders is responsible for a large share of crime, taking them off the streets is common sense and protects the community. Critics, including many legal experts and youth advocates, argue that mandatory jail time for young people, particularly for bail breaches, rather than serious violent crimes, is counterproductive. It can entrench young people in the criminal justice system, expose them to more hardened criminals, and make them more likely to reoffend, not less. The evidence on whether mandatory sentencing actually reduces crime is at best mixed. Here's the tension at the heart of this whole situation. On one side, there's a genuine and understandable demand for safety. When your local shops are being firebombed and cars are being driven through storefronts, you want action. You want the government to restore order. You want to feel safe in your own city. That's completely reasonable, and politicians who ignore it do so at their peril. On the other side, there's the question of whether tough-on-crime responses actually address the root causes. The firebombings are driven by an illegal tobacco market that exists. Because tobacco taxes are so high, cracking down on the arson without addressing the black market is like treating the symptom while ignoring the disease, and mandatory sentencing for youth offenders may satisfy the demand to look tough, while potentially making the underlying youth crime problem worse. Over the long term, the Victorian government is caught between these pressures. It's under enormous political pressure to be seen doing something, hence the mandatory jail time for bail breaches and increased police resources targeting the arson attacks. Whether these measures actually solve the problem or just push it around is the open question. What's the path forward here? On the organized crime side, police have been making arrests and targeting the syndicates behind the tobacco wars. But experts point out that as long as the black market remains so profitable, new players will keep emerging to fill any gap. Some have argued that the tobacco excise itself needs to be reconsidered. That tax is so high, they create a massive criminal black market may be counterproductive. However well-intentioned the public health goals, that's a genuinely difficult policy debate, with no easy answer because lowering tobacco taxes has real public health costs too. On the youth crime side, there's a broader conversation about prevention, about early intervention, education, community programs, and addressing the disadvantage that funnels some young people toward crime in the first place. These approaches are less politically satisfying than mandatory sentencing because they take years to show results. But the evidence suggests they're more effective at actually reducing crime over the long term. For now, Melbourne is dealing with the immediate crisis, the fires, the raids, the fear. The Lord Mayor's cancer comparison captures the anxiety of a city watching something spread that it doesn't yet know how to stop. Are you in Melbourne? Have these attacks affected your neighborhood or how safe you feel? And where do you land on the youth crime debate? Tougher penalties or addressing root causes? Drop it in the comments. This is a story that's genuinely dividing the city, and I want to hear from people living it. Like and subscribe for more Australian news explained simply. See you next time.